guys, how's it going? So today we're going to be working on transitioning a window box into more of a fall / winter look. So if you saw the recent video where I did some fall cleanup, I also planted a couple of containers. I think I'm going to mirror the window box after those containers, and you can kind of tell what plants I had a lot of extra after I was done with fall projects. I had intended on doing one planting project that I wasn't able to get to because the area is not quite ready. So I've just been kind of like using the stuff in other areas, and I really like how those turned out. This is one of them right there, and I just love how it turned out. The red snapdragons, ornamental cabbage, white pansies. It very much so, like if you just look at the snapdragons, look, there's a honeybee. Oh, the snapdragons definitely look fall with that yellow throat. But if you add it in with these cabbage and pansies, it kind of takes on more of a Christmassy vibe, which is really pretty. It just looks so fresh to me. And this window box is in need of something. So these are Pegasus begonias, which are an annual in our area, but an amazing house plant. I have a couple of these inside, which I've had for probably 3 years. Actually never repotted them after I initially brought them inside, and they're doing awesome. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those begonias in here. We're gonna pop those out and pot them up so we can have them inside. I'll probably leave the wire vine, but then I've got some other things like some begonias and like a fern that's kind of dried up and just, you know, yeah, stuff that needs to be freshened up a bit. And right next door to this window box, we've got some other things. This is kind of where Benjamin parks some of his toys, the ones he uses a lot because he just comes out the door and takes off in his lawn tractor and stuff. So anyway, lemon cypress, we moved these out from the sun porch. These will be moved back in eventually. I'm gonna keep them out here for as long as possible. They're really protected here. They've done well, even though this is such a shady spot. The other things that we have potted here, there's a fern I just recently groomed, lungwort, double up pink begonia. I'm going to pop those 2 in the greenhouse, which is going to be heated, and we'll see how those winter. There's a hosta autumn frost there, and then a wild berry heuchera there. The rest of the window boxes over here are not too bad. We've got a heucherella in here, which you can see could use some grooming. Like these lower leaves could be groomed off. It's got a bunch of fresh growth. Right over here, oh, there's Benjamin. Hey dude, you have chocolate on your mouth. Oh yeah. And the rest of these we'll probably do something with eventually. The lime-time coleus is wanting to kind of reach out to the light. These have been such a nice mix of plants though this year. I mean, right now they're looking a little tired. I mean, we are almost to November here, and these plants still look pretty darn good. I mean, the double up pink begonias are amazing. Highly, highly recommend this plant. It's just performed like crazy. The wire vine, you know, I should probably think about potting that up. What zone is that? Aren't wire vines a little tender? How come I can't remember that? I've planted wire vines forever. 7 to 9. So they will not winter here, which means I'm not gonna leave them. Maybe I'll leave them in the kitchen window box just to see how they do. And then the other ones over here, we can pot up and put inside. It's actually really nice. I know I look kind of bundled up because it was a little gray earlier and it was spitting rain, but it's supposed to reach 70 today. We have not even close to anything freezing in the next 10 days, with highs in like the high 50s, lows in the high 40s. It's beautiful. All right, so I'm gonna go grab a cart, some soil, plants, and then we will take the begonias back probably to the studio or greenhouse and get them potted up. And here's Cheddar. Hey bud. Also, you might notice we recently cleaned the pink meat clematis off the trellis. They're still there, they're just cut back. They had just kind of dried up. They were looking a little mangy, so we cleaned those off, cleaned out the half-dead Japanese maple that had been in this pot all season long. And I think I'm gonna kind of leave it clear because we are planning on getting the house painted next spring. See that? Whew, needs some attention. So that was on the list for this spring, and you guys know we've just been inundated with other things going on. So anyway, future plans. Look at it out here though. Can you believe this? Okay, so little lime punch in a container. Look at its fall color. Oh, so pretty. The brick raised bed here, Super Petunia's still looking awesome. Almost November, and you can tell the Vertigo Pennisetum is not quite as cold tolerant. It's still a nice structure in there, but the leaves just get kind of brown, whitish brown when it gets just a little bit too cool out. And those hydrangeas in there are firelights. And on our way, hi chickens. Just was recently asked how the chickens are doing. They're doing good. Look at all of them. Hey girls. That artichoke right there, that came out of one of my winter sowing water jugs. Can you believe that? Look at how big and beautiful. This one as well. Look at the artichokes it's formed. Oh, they're so gorgeous. I was just talking to Erin about how like we have a cold frame now that is heated inside, so it's now technically a greenhouse. And the Hartley, I'm not sure if we're going to be at the point where we can heat it this winter, depending on HVAC and what goes on there. But I was just telling him, like, we have these wonderful areas to start seeds, but you better believe I'm going to still have water jugs out here starting seeds that way. The winter sowing method is just so amazing, and it's just fun to watch. See how much battery we have. Oh, full. Sweet. You see that? That's our new resident squirrel. We actually don't have very many squirrels here. We did when we first moved in, when we had that big row of oak trees, but ever since we removed those, they kind of all moved over to our neighbor's house. Pretty cute. I know they can be a nuisance. I think the best thing to do first is to clean out all the stuff that I'm not saving, because that will make it a lot easier, I think, for me to get in here, yeah, and dig out what I do want to save. So let's pop all the begonias and ferns out. Well, we made pretty quick work of that. So now we need to take the begonias out ever so carefully. They are pretty fragile, so we're gonna just do this slow. Ooh. Ooh, that's looking really rough. Okay, so I had thought about maybe just taking these out, but because I'm using white pansies and we've got a white window box, white house, I think having a green layer to kind of back those white pansies is going to be the right way to go. So what I'm going to do is I think I'll extract some wire vine from the other boxes over there and fill in the gaps right here. Either that, or I might be able to swoop some of this up to make it look like it's a little bit more full down below. Before we do anything though, a little bit of cleanup is necessary. All right, I got all the wire vines out of this one window box right here. There's still some left in there. They're coming out really easily though, because they were not very well rooted when I planted them. Let me show you. They were all like just these little plugs right here. So they've just like barely rooted out from the bottom of those. Yeah, that's looking a little better, a little bit more thick. Now I will make sure to either trim or kind of fluff these, I think, in the end to where they're not dangling at different, like a bunch of differing heights. And right now I'm kind of embracing a little bit more of the clean, like tidy looking containers. I like to see the actual container. These window boxes though, there's not a whole lot of interest to them. And I think, like I said, using the white pansies, it's kind of necessary to have a layer in between the white and the white. These probably won't be complete today though. I mean, it'll be completely filled up, but I think I'm gonna pop branches in there as kind of more of my winter centerpiece. So I won't really have that thriller layer until a little bit later when we go gather some red twig dogwoods, because that will be pretty. A thick layer of red twig dogwoods, and then the cabbage and everything else. I'm excited for it. Alrighty, so let's get all these planted up. Oh my goodness, you guys, look at it. Isn't it so pretty? I don't know why I am into this color combination right now, but I'm just loving it. And I packed a lot of stuff in here. A lot, which you can absolutely do this time of year with no adverse effects to your plants because they're not putting on active growth this time of year. Even with our nice forecast, it's not warm enough and it's not long enough for these plants to put on any growth. So you can pretty much put these root balls side by side, like touching each other, which these definitely are, and they should be happy. And because we are under an overhang here, they are even more protected than the other planters that match this one. So we should get a good long while out of these, especially if we have a mild winter. Now, if we have a really hard winter, it can still take these. Even the cold tolerant stuff can look kind of puny in really cold temps. I think the amped up wire vine is a really pretty look here. And I think it was necessary because of the plants used here. And then, like I said, I'll probably come in with a layer of red twig dogwood branches right about in this range. Not enough to block our view in there. This is our kitchen sink right here, but enough to provide a little bit more interest vertically. I think that'll look really good. In terms of care, all they need is water. I'm gonna water them in today. We'll probably water them once a week. When it starts to freeze every single night, like regularly, we'll probably back off to every 2 weeks. And that's that. All right, so now we're gonna take the begonias probably to the greenhouse and get those potted up. Not without one last look at this window box. So pretty. Also, let me give you a close look at what these annuals actually looked like when they are separated. Because, you guys, these don't look great. The white pansies. And every single one of them that I used in that window box looked like this before it went in the window box. So what I did was I just took all of the dead leaves off, I deadheaded them, and then when you tuck them in with other plants, all of a sudden you can't see that kind of gangly, long undergrowth there, and all you can see is the pretty top stuff. See, I didn't give any opportunity to really see what the bottom of that plant looks like. Thus, getting some use out of these leggy plants, which otherwise really wouldn't look good in a container by themselves or more exposed than this. I had one extra Snapdragon, so this is Snaptastic Red, and these all looked really good. So every single one in there was kind of full and had nice color. The cabbage I was using is actually a kale. Crane Bicolor, it looks like cabbage. But they grow on long stalks like that. They won't continue to grow though in the container because it's just too cold or getting too cold for them to really put on much growth. But they come 3 to a container, and I showed you in the last video how I separate these. I remove a big chunk of the bottom of the root ball here, kind of manhandle these plants in order to fit them in. Okay, now we'll take these, repot them. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and pot it right in the back of the gator because these are gonna go up into the front sun porch anyway for now. And I think I'm going to put all of them in this same container. I think it'll look full and beautiful. I'm gonna be using the organic potting mix right here. Here's the saucer I'll be setting on the floor to protect the surface. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I have been purposing to wear gloves a little bit more lately. Going into late fall and winter, it's just so dry. Like my hair is really staticky and dry skin. So anyway, gloves do help in that case, but they drive me crazy. I'm so not used to wearing gloves that you may not see me wear them for long, but I am trying right now to get used to it. Turned out pretty good, I think. So all 5 of them in the same pot, because alone they were pretty wimpy looking plants. I mean, you saw when I got them planted in here, they were all kind of like flopping over the sides. But when you put them all together, they look really good. So they just need a chance to root in a little bit. I gave them a once over, looked for any bugs. They're really clean as far as I can tell. So I did use a stake in the center here. You can see that stake running right down the center, and then I tied each individual plant up to the stake. You can't really see it. Like, I don't really notice it. And that'll help give them some support until they have, you know, created new growth, have new roots. I use some sphagnum moss as my top dress. I prefer like the preserved sheet moss because it's a little more green, but I'm currently out. So this works. Covers the soil surface, helps keep a little bit of moisture in. These are just such cool plants. I love the shape of their leaves. I think they're a zone 9 through 11, so definitely wouldn't survive outside for me. Let's go set this in the front sun porch. I'm gonna drive about 2 miles an hour so this thing doesn't get too windblown. These are those clear saucers that are really thick and they have the feet, which is nice. Okay, we recently put a bunch of stuff in here. So let me find a spot. Probably look really good right there. I'm gonna shift this stuff around. Doesn't that look great up here? I love it. So I moved the pillar with the Snapdragon right over there, shifted the ficus over a bit, and then kept Benjamin's little pansy fairy garden right down there on the ground. And I love that we now have this beautiful and huge houseplant for essentially free. You know, I got these begonias for the window box. They served their purpose this summer. They were beautiful, and I don't always save everything that could technically come inside and be wintered over, but sometimes with these really unique, beautiful ones, I like to, you know, a little bit of extra effort to get them inside and enjoy them through the course of the winter. And like I said, I've got 2 inside that I've had for about 3 years, and they just keep on going. These are really easy to take care of. Most begonias are, because they don't want to be overly wet. We give ours inside a really deep drink once a week. On Mondays, that's our watering day. They get a nice big drink and they're just happy campers. We twist the pot every once in a while so that they don't reach toward the light, because all plants tend to want to do that. Even if they're low light thrivers, they still will try to reach, so we do that in order to keep a nice shape. But other than that, you can fertilize if you want to. I hardly ever fertilize mine. Anyway, they're just an amazing plant. And I think that's gonna be it for today, guys. Just wanted to get that window box done. The begonias potted up, super happy with the results of both of them. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're having a great day, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.